Good numbing. Hello YouTube, I hope you're all doing well. We're back with day 2 of the Genshin 4.0 shenanigans. Last time we left off, we started our expedition of the land, got sidetracked with a story of Marianne and this princess and all these oceanids and everything else, and then eventually watched Linnae get accused of a crime by the goddess herself. Our little bratty Archon. Don't look up bratty Archon, please. And so we've got a few things to do. We've got a crime to solve, which we're going to be starting with. We even got like a crime record. We had to go pick up evidence. It was crazy. Oh, hang on. There we are. I'm using my new headsets today. My new headphones. They finally showed up. So audio might be a little weird as I try and figure things out first.
Oh, is it time?
Hopefully it'll be okay. They are louder though, so I might actually turn my headset down. And there's no volume slider on this as far as I'm aware. Unless I can do it here. Hang on. Nope, that's for the headset and not the actual thing again. Alright, 1 second. I know slow start, but 1 second. Let me just change the headset audio because it's a little loud in my ear. Much better. Off screen, you can see I've been exploring. I've cleared out a lot of this. I've been down here. I did find this boss and figure out how to get to it. You swim from here. And there's a hole here, and that hole will circle around and take you out here, and then you can go fight the boss. Now, I did fight it as well. I might show it off at some point. No, stop it! These ones I haven't done because it's tied to a quest. We dive into the lake here, and it takes us underground here. So because this is all tied to a quest, I decided to leave it. There's also you can see there's an exit over here, so we'll probably do that later. Yeah, and that's it. If I zoom out, you can see 44%, 68, 41. I was busy last night. I just... after the stream ended, I went and platinumed Final Fantasy 16, because I only had the final boss to do. Then I came back to this and just played it more. Oh, additionally, I think it was, here-ish? There was a shrine of the depths I found. And because I handed in the keys and whatnot, I opened it up. I can't remember if I did that on stream or not, so I thought I'd mention it. But I digress. Last time we were here... Did it change up to 9, sipping 90 for council? Yeah, fair enough. Last time we were here, we started Ace Attorney Genshin edition. So we should continue where we left off, since I left it on just before we went to try and solve the crime. We still don't know who actually did it or what's actually going on, but, well, we'll give it our best, dang it. Oh, please don't make me sit through all of this again. Okay, good. I was going to say, please have the plot just catch up with itself.
The whole situation is so confusing.
Well, let's take things step by step, because it might recap and give me a chance to catch up on where we left off yesterday.
Things don't just happen. We'll get to the truth one way or another. Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette, at least we will be supporting them from the stands.
Yeah, very helpful, Nivea. Even if everyone thinks they're guilty, me, one lone person who will just be sitting among the audience and won't really be contributing to the jury, think they'll be fine. Thanks. Oh, you're right, we went down, there's a tunnel that we found all these bits and pieces. Oh, there's still shit that we haven't, completely answered for. Buenos dias, Paimon.
Besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about what happened than we do. Thanks, Navia. Well, we'll be going then. Best of luck to you.
Once we are entirely done with Act 1 of the story, instead of diving straight into Act 2, we'll go do some of the side quests. Because I want to go do the deep sea diving and unlock more of the map over there. We've also got the treasure hunt quest to do.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed? Don't
Oh,
tell
Jesus
me
Christ,
that your
here she is.
investigation came up empty-handed. That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their innocence.
Habla Espanol. No, I don't. I think I completely forgot to check. I think I'm pretty sure it's just English, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean in voiceovers. In actual subtitles, you can probably have it in way more.
But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe, concede so easily.
Yeah, just you wait.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show
Stop it, one man.
is now in session.
No.
Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Yeah, the idea is the face record of him keep talking, but the person who fumbles out at the last second is Lynette. It's just because they're twins, people don't notice if she's dressed up like a boy. I actually went back and looked at the footage to see if I could spot, like, if they just used Linnea's model and you're supposed, and it's actually deceived, or whether it's Lynette. And I don't know if it was just like camera trickery and whatnot, but I could see that, like if I focus, I can kind of see the chest outline. So I think that, like, they did actually model Lynette in Linnea's clothing for that little scene, just to play the trick on your eyes. I might be completely wrong on that, but I could kind of just barely see, like, the outline sort of thing. And I don't know if that's just my eyes playing trick on me, because I was trying to look for something that showed it was Lynette dressed as her brother and not actually just Linnea's model used in the game. And they just tell you it's Lynette sort of thing.
You ran to.
But if that's the case, and that's a lot of effort, that's a lot of effort for, like, one trick of the eye that the game devs put in.
Could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide
Farina
open.
is gonna go full Miles
Mr.
Edgeworth
Linney
mode.
is clearly
She's even doing the pointing shit. She's going full Miles Edgeworth. Oh dear. She's going, oh, this case will be so easy, and we're going to slowly but surely whittle down all of her arguments. Oh dear.
There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
Expecting to smugly on camera, expecting to smugly shrug her shoulders.
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time
Also,
and
Linny,
built
Linny,
anticipation for the finale.
you're the accused. I'm your defendant. Let me talk.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might leave an impression of any kind?
I say that it's more Farina's just doing the interrogation and he's just responding.
No, nothing.
I like these kind of like split screens that they're doing, like so everyone's on page.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard it.
Huh?
Hey, hang on. Something's not right here.
How could Linnea not know about that sound?
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I definitely heard the thud.
Oh Jesus, is that like an actual indicator of who's winning?
Could those mean...
This probably represent the oratrix's stance on the trial.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen.
But it's like you have to go into this so different from how you go into any kind of court trial simulator ever, because you're not in a courtroom, you're in a fucking opera house. So the public opinion dictates everything because they're putting on a show out of your trial. You know, like, so it's like it's so kind of like, in my mind I'm like, okay, we just got to prove this, we got to break down that, but it's like, no, Farina's kind of carrying the trial with zero evidence because she's selling her words, and so the audience are listening to her. That's what I mean. You got to just kind of take it differently. I kind of like it because it challenges how you'd expect to handle these sort of things.
Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid. Tell me, aren't you
Let's
and
interrogate the
Lynette
audience.
actually from the House of the Hearth?
Oh shit! Also, the music's playing Are the Shenno's theme, or a mix of Are the Shenno's theme. So she's literally just brought it to the forefront what I was talking about yesterday, about all these kids come from the House of the Hearth, meaning they're tied, whether they like it or not, they're tied to Snezhnaya. So they're tied to the Harbingers. And so they're tied to bad people.
The House of the Hearth?
They're Fatui?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
Jesus Christ. The audience, Farina just turned around and went, aren't you in line with the Russians? And everyone went, they're Russian, makes sense, they're guilty. Like, that's basically what happened here. That's basically what's happened here. Station fallacy? Yeah, like I said, because it's an opera house and she's selling a show and the audience affect the results of the verdict, she's just selling the show. She doesn't. She's not worrying about her evidence. She's just selling it. She's like, if she just paints them as villains, they won't listen to a word they say.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
Rational audience member. Yeah, interesting subtitle name.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it.
Jesus, Farina is so good at poking holes. For such a, like, egotistical little shit, she's so good at just kind of poking people and annoying them and getting under their skin and just being like, unless there's already a problem. When are we gonna step in? We have a whole book of evidence. When are we gonna...
Speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. This was almost too easy.
Okay, so I like how the voice in her head is like literally jumping for joy. That's kind of cute.
Good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off.
All-nighter, wow. What do you think, she like wrote her own script and like rehearsed all her lines?
Hey, Linny, why didn't you tell us this before?
Linny and Lynette for Tui.
Order! Order! Mr. Linny, allow me to re-establish the facts. Lady Farina has raised 2 points. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth.
Sure, he's a mess. Society respect and dedication. Yeah, she's super focused in being a problematic person. There's no doubt about a magician's ability to con others. Given how Linny has concealed his identity, this could all have been set up beforehand. Plus, Child is here in Fontaine along with the other house operatives. There must be some scheme at work here. I've been a victim of such schemes before, and now...
Please answer my question, Mr. Linny.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
Dramatic person. Oh, people really don't like him.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
Jesus Christ, yes, it's true. I'm Russian. Oh, that's it. He's guilty. He's fucking guilty. That's what's happening here.
What should we do now?
Permission to speak, Your Honor.
Granted.
My client has withheld some key information. My defense cannot proceed.
What is your request?
I request a brief adjournment. There are things that must be discussed.
Is that really necessary? They're already as good as guilty.
Fuck. Shut up,
The
impatient.
defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order, I say!
Yeah, you know, Nuruvale is really putting in the role of the judge.
Your request is reasonable.
I'm getting
Shall
like
adjourn.
he's the one that's like the
This
most
trial will
like
reconvene in 1 hour.
like almost comparable to like an Ace Attorney character. You know, like he's just the judge, but it's maybe not as funny.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? You certainly have more professionalism than I thought. In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a little while longer.
She thinks she's already won. This little menace. So yeah, we need to go have a word with Linny and be like, so you two, like... You two come from this orphanage in Snezhnaya, where they raise soldiers?
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon doesn't know where to start. We trusted you two. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys.
Paimon, you're just as bad. It's like, oh, so you're Russian. I see.
Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad.
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry, and reasonably so, but please, let me explain. I know you've clashed with the Vatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word is enough to make you upset. But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities and goals.
Oh, is he about to finally tell her, or finally give some pieces about Arlesheno?
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it
Because
comes
he's
to this
talking about
nation and
Harbingers.
the
He's going to start
disaster
talking
that
about
its people
Arlesheno
might
and what
face.
she's like behind closed doors. Because all we know about her is that the way she handles herself, the way she dresses, the way she fights, and basically just the way she is, most people in the general public don't even know she's a woman. They think she's a man. Because has an extremely masculine personality, has a very extremely masculine dress code, has her hair kind of short, is super tall and kind of muscular. Like, it's like everyone assumes, and when they hear from her, that she's a man. So, but she also is the one who, you know, runs a whole orphanage. So it's like, is the motherly side still there a bit? You know, like, is she still a guardian? Or is it just the House of Hearth is there to, you know, raise Snezhnayan soldiers?
I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details instead. The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to.
But how can we know this isn't all just another lie?
Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me at this point.
Lynette, you're not really helping your case here. Of course, she's crime uncle Vimo. Kinda. And she's also, like, really cool. I think her design is, like, one of, like, the most striking and just genuinely cool designs in Genshin. And so it's like, I'm planning on getting Arlesheno when she becomes playable, solely because I really fucking love her design.
You met a Fatus who works as a magician.
But I don't think we're going to see her in 4.0. I think the earliest we're going to see her is 4.1.
But still, I'm asking you to trust me.
I think we're going to hear about her in
I am
this,
no
and we
criminal.
might get teasers that she's around, but I don't think we're
not
going
in
to
this
see
case.
her in any form until the next patch.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but...
Where did you actually go while the trick was being performed?
Right. Let's hear your answer first, and no lies now.
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box.
Oh, you counted on the fact that the audience can't... that a general audience won't be able to count for shit. Because everyone would just go, 5, 4, 3... So they would get slower. They wouldn't be in line with it.
So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the core is stored.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
And what did you find?
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, I heard someone's voice. Which should have been impossible, of course. I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought. After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
But why do you want to understand how the Oratrice operates?
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. I swear, I didn't hide anything from you this time. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But, like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui, there's nothing I can do to stop you.
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
I believe in the facts. I will defend you from these charges.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is
It's
that the
alright.
scales are
I'm only
tipped
doing
pretty
this
badly against
because
you
I
two.
believe in the truth of the situation, and not because I think Lynette's pretty cute. I mean...
Refute the Hydro Archon's accusation.
I'd be a terrible
We're
defense
gonna
attorney
need a
because I'd just be like, oh, they look
seriously
kind of cute.
watertight
They look
defense.
innocent. Yeah, sure, I'll defend them, even if they're like, they murdered 7 people. Oh, no, they look kind of ugly as sin. Nah, they're probably guilty as fuck, and they're like the most innocent person ever. I would be awful. I would genuinely, like... I would let my own superstitions or, like, my own judgments cloud it so much without even realizing it. I know I would. Actually, we already have the key evidence we need.
Huh?
The adjournment's almost over. Let's go back.
Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Linnea's statement. Linne claims that he headed to the chamber containing the Oratrice's core upon entering the tunnel and did not witness the crime taking place and thus did not hear the thud. Linne claims to have heard a mysterious voice within the chamber that houses the Oratrice's core within the Opera House's underground structures. Get back to the trial room. The brief adjournment ends, and the nail-biting trial reconvenes.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linne acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention, at this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linne's perspective.
Jesus Christ, she's living for this. Look at that shit-eating grin. She loves being the accuser here. She likes pointing fingers. Oh, what the fuck? Based on the opponent's account of the event, you can identify loopholes in their statement. Oh boy, it's fucking witness testimony. Use evidence and clues obtained during the investigation to refute any erroneous assertions of fact and replace them with new inferences, fuck. Use your refutations to convince the audience and obtain more support from the people. The Oratrice will display such shifts clearly. When you find and refute all incorrect content, you can complete the cycle of refutation and unveil the truth. I'm seething right now. Oh my goodness!
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that the sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock
Hey,
her
hey,
out
Capcom, when you inevitably see loads of people really fucking enjoying this story event, could you maybe consider making an Ace Attorney 7, please? Thanks.
At this time, Cowell arrived in the
Or Great
tunnel,
Ace Attorney
having
3.
heard that strange noise, and caught Linny red-handed. So Linny proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Linny passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled an accident. And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the events?
The key to refuting Lady Farina
Oh shit,
is the
we're
order of
talking.
events. What Linny experienced and what he saw.
Oh boy. Began to enter the tunnel as the countdown began. Did not witness the crime taking place. I will come back to that.
According to Linny, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
However, was Linny really in the tunnel at that time? He was... Oh, thank God.
The room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth.
Oh, this is all in Emmy's head, by the way. She's not saying this out loud. She's piecing the cases together. The existing evidence indicates that when Linny returned to the tunnel, the crime had already taken place. All Linny saw was... Is that right? Oh, thank God.
Linny did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Oh, is that enough to challenge it?
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say!
Ace Detective, alright.
When the countdown started, Linny did indeed go into the tunnel.
I kind of wish Lumine/Aether would do the objecting and not Paimon. This was the perfect opportunity to let Emmy talk, or let the protag talk instead. But I get it, they still got to keep up their tradition. The protag only talks when they need to.
But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not remain there for any length of time. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent!
To be fair, that was the first one, so I expected it to be easier. I imagine they're going to get way harder.
Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that! Wasn't it awesome?
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right!
Moreover, I believe my opposition's reasoning is flawed.
My reasoning?
The on-stage equipment was clearly tampered with in a predetermined fashion. However, you say that Cowell bumped into Linny by chance.
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him!
And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around.
Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims?
Do you happen to remember how you refuted Linny's alibi initially?
Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why do you ask? You're saying that he wasn't.
Your claim has now become my weapon. Oh, Jesus Christ, oh no! I think this one? Okay, there's a new statement. During the switching performance, there's an audible thump that many audience members heard. Right? There's no, like, saving, by the way. I can't save and then figure it out, so I actually have to think about this and be like,
That's right!
Oh, thank God.
Lenny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange.
But you can't, like, save scum it like you would in, like the Ace Attorney games, where you just, like, quick save before each choice, like,
This means that when the
And I don't think there's a life bar either. I think it might just be you do it right or you do it wrong.
via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played.
To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
The murderer was... Use the gear icons in the interface to check the corresponding case questions. Select answers and fill up all the empty gears to verify the correctness of your deduction. If you make mistakes, you must make another selection from the remaining options. Once you've answered all the questions correctly, you can complete this logic chain. Oh, fuck. How did the culprit trigger the onstage accident? The guard's investigation report indicates that the fireworks released near the end of the show ignited and burned through the rope suspending the water tank above the stage. This caused the water tank to fall and kill Koal in the box below. If Lenny is no longer under suspicion, only the other members of the troupe would have been able to tamper with the props. Lenny gave a detailed account... What was the original plan of the performance? Lenny gave a detailed account of how the trick was supposed to work. By using a box inside a box, the idea was the box containing the audience member to be transported across via a tunnel underneath, and Lenny himself would also use this tunnel to get to the other side. Having changed their outfit, Lynette and her assistant would take charge of on-stage interactions. The clothes belonged to Halsey, where evidence of their selected audience member was involved in the incident. The lady who went missing were found in the tunnel. The reason for this remains unknown.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own scheme all along? Could there have been a third person involved? Is that really a possibility?
I'm trying... If it was Cowell... Why? Because he died. Was it a plan gone awry? Was he trying to kill the girl? But then if it went awry, what happened to lead it going awry? And then where's the girl? If he was the one that set it up. Wait, it was the girl that did it? She could set it up to make it look like she was kidnapped.
Halsey is the missing person and an
What are we thinking? Or do we think there's a third person? Going for it. Fuck! No, never mind. Oh, so you just lose access to that evidence. Oh, I see.
Could there have been a third person in...
Oh, it was Cowell.
The deceased's name is
Well,
Cowell.
I've really fucked this one up. Interesting. So something went wrong then. He committed it, but then where's the girl?
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowl, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowl did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim.
Oh god. Oh, how... Oh, we gotta do all of it now. How can we envisage Linny as having been unable to interfere with the crime?
No one entered or left the opera house through it.
No.
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would... Linny was not in the tunnel at...
That is... How can we envisage Linny as having been unable to interfere with the crime? I'm so paranoid. Okay. Oh, it doesn't tell us. We're just guessing. How can I prove there was an altercation in the tunnel?
The deceased's name is Cowl. No one entered or left the opera house through its entrance. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So, there must have been some fear that she would attract attention. The sound we heard may have come from a clash.
The sound?
Linny was not in the tunnel at...
Where did the missing Halsey go?
It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Linny as well. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. It would have been tough for both people.
And who is the prime suspect?
The deceased's name is Cowl.
Here goes nothing. Oh, 3 out of 4. I was close. Come on. 3 out of 4. So yeah, if I'd like got 2 pieces wrong, I would have lost both those evidence pieces, even if one of them was supposed to be applied here. So that's where you can screw yourself over. This is how it punishes you, got it? It's not like a health system, it's that if you misalign your evidence, but it's evidence you actually need, you can lose it entirely and not be able to reapply it. So then you can then fail to be able to solve the whole case.
No one entered or left. Halsey's clothing...
God, I'm shit. But the thing is, I did well enough to get it through. Oh, shit. The criminal must have understood the methods behind Linny's magic trick, and must have been in a position to easily modify the equipment. Leaving aside how he died, Cowl must have had other means to commit the crime at his disposal. The strange noise could likely have been the sound from Cowl and Halsey struggling. Linny was not in the tunnel for 1 minute. This would have given the time for Cowl to bring Halsey out of the magic box in the audience stands. But according to the guard's testimony, no one entered or left the opera house. So even if he had taken her, there'd be no means of exiting. Exiting from the box would have been in full view of the audience, pretty much guaranteeing that they would be discovered.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
Where in the world did Halsey go? Okay, so I think that was scripted. You're supposed to get 3 out of the 4 pieces.
So this was all just a bluff. And here I thought you had something to show.
Sort of like
for
an
it.
Ace Attorney, where it's like, hey, you need to find the objection, and like the trick is that there isn't actually an objection, and if you challenge everything, eventually the plot just moves on.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Escaping from the water tank? Wait, could it have been the water?
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the performance.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Oh, come on. What do you mean, hold on a second? That was the perfect opportunity to go, objection! Hold on a second.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
Are we gonna say they got warped through the fucking water?
The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence.
The teleporting water that Lynette was warped through as a trick. It is. Oh, Jesus Christ. I forgot Fantasy World.
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind.
Yeah, because I made a joke. I was like, how on earth did she get dressed again so quickly after her clothes are left behind from the water tank? That should... Oh, I didn't even think about that. God damn it.
If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick.
I request we examine Cowell's personal effects.
Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linny already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about two completely different things.
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
Man, she really is like Miles Edgeworth, but not. You know, like she's throwing at all the... You're just trying to postpone the results of this trial.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse...
Well, even Neurophili's crossed the one leg over the other. He's like, look, just fucking figure it out.
Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Cowell.
After some time, a guard returns with news.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the Primordial Sea.
The Primordial Sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice.
Oh, Jesus! This only got... this only took a turn. Oh, I thought he was trying to solve a murder. Now we've got like a fucking drug cartel going on.
The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order!
Damn, the motherfucker got his cane out.
It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results. But we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found.
See, if I was a game designer, shots like this would when I'd take the opportunity to like hide a character in the audience, which is why I'm kind of like stopping for a second to glance across. I'm more looking in like on the ground rows, so ignoring like the upper decking that's way in the back right corner, there's someone in like a complete white dress and someone that looks like they're in like almost blue, that I'm like, they stand out, they look different from everyone else. In the bottom left, those 4 empty chairs, I think was Navia and her duo, and I think there's just an empty seat. But it's like, who are those two way in the back right on the ground level? And also, you can just barely see Farina on like the far right edge of the screen.
Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
The liquids the guards found in Cowell's luggage seem to have the ability to dissolve Fontanians into water. Who is the prime suspect currently? Cowell. What item did the culprit use to control the timing of the dissolution?
The water from the primordial sea. The deceased.
Wait, I want to read the other clues before I jump on that. Yeah, because that one. There we go. I didn't want to
That was in the magic box.
jump on using this. Because what item did he use to solve Halsey? The water.
There was something else within the inner layer of that box. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. I remember there was some... The water from the primordial... The deceased's name is...
What did the culprit use to hide the mechanism behind the crime? What did the culprit use to control the timing of the dissolution?
Lynette was in the magic... Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead some form of triggering mechanism.
Oh! Is the hook rope what tipped the jar over to dissolve the girl?
Lynette was in the magic box on stage I remember there was some...
This feels wrong. Never mind, I'm a genius. I felt like I'm a genius. The hook was used to tip the jar over that had the dissolution water in.
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the...
There were balloons in the box. I didn't even think about the balloons. I thought the thing would have been used to tip the jar.
Evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
dear. What do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death.
I appreciate that whilst Farina, in her mind, was freaking out that she's been corrected and that she might be wrong, she was completely stone-faced. Like, she's got a good poker face, at least. Like, she didn't move an inch. She just stayed exactly as she was, as her brain was firing off on all cylinders about how worried she was that she's wrong.
His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case, and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
Not it's a poker face, so she's just freezing. Yeah, to be fair, yeah, it might be that she's just froze up. Because she's, you know, she's panicking, sort of thing. But now there's another accusation on Linny. Uh-oh. Because now we've got to prove that that primordial water was used for the trick for Lynette and not for anything else.
What?
That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have.
Oh no, or it's planted evidence.
Only to come back and wound you. Does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close.
Oh, fucking here we go.
Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowell then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit and prepared to do away with his partner in crime. Ultimately, he knocked Cowell out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold-blooded and ruthless organization. Am I right?
All right.
Mr. Linny?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make a rebuttal here. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no!
Oh wait, okay, plot again. We have to wait for evidence to present itself.
It doesn't look like there's any way around this! Seems using the water as
I mean, that's probably what Navia's gonna show up, like Maya Fey at the very end. Like, I found this one last thing! And it's the thing that turns it all around.
I think we've all seen enough now, and we have ample witnesses to my flawless reasoning. I believe this is indeed the finale. Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice, should we not, in your view, move...
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Objection! Come on, you know you want to.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout, and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Linny, if you would be so kind.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance?
Is she saying recreate everything that just happened and we'll be able to see the whole?
Come on, Linny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry.
Literally, she's like, hey, if we recreate what happened right now, whilst everyone knows what's actually going on, it'll probably answer itself.
But as the magic makers and stars of the show,
Which, Jesus Christ, Navia, I hope it pays off, because otherwise you've just wasted a lot of the audience's time.
I understand.
And voila.
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence.
She found her. Navia went and found her and dragged her on. She went, come on.
I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowell.
What?
I admit it.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before.
You're that thief that we met before we went to the trial. That Linny pointed out and we cornered. But they got away, but they dropped everything they went to steal.
But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
If they're a practiced hand at concealment, probably.
But I swear I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and now it's time to refute the Hydro Archon's previous reasoning.
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Lillian's perspective.
Oh, fuck, alright, back to this. When he entered the tunnel after beginning to come down, he used the ventilation shaft to leave the tunnel and did not participate in the dissolving the young woman. Cowell planned to use the preparation apparatus for the magic trick to dissolve Halsey inside the box. As Halsey has appeared completely unharmed before all of our eyes, Serena's conjecture no longer holds water. And how would Halsey have reacted when the water began to trickle in? Let me read the others before I do that. Linny wanted to credit for all the glory and wanted to get rid of his partners. As Halsey has appeared completely unharmed before our eyes, Farina's conjecture only holds water, but there is evidence proving that a fight did indeed break out in the tunnel.
The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was smashed during the struggle between Lillian and Cowell.
Linny knocked Cowell out. Then, using the method used to dissolve the young girls, he got rid of Cowell and disguised it as an accident. As Halsey has appeared completely unharmed before our eyes, Farina's conjecture no longer holds water. After the fight, what did Halsey actually do? See, design magic prop activated, causing more detective. I'm not sure which one's which. Which one's the... I think... That?
The strange
And then the
sound
clothes.
wasn't from a fight.
When she,
It was
afterwards she changed
Lilianne's
clothes.
attempt to break out when she was frightened. Lilianne was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time. Just what one might expect of an experienced thief.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Having been selected out of the blue, Lilianne panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lilianne had not dissolved. He did not know that Lilianne was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way in by stealing a ticket. Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect, he tried to force Lilianne back into the box. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lilianne came out on top, knocking Cowell out and putting him in the box. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended. She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the Opera House these last 2 days.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses.
Oh, so the macaron thief wasn't Paimon. It was the it was our thief. That's why she was so good at it. She stole it from under our noses.
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Ah, so that's the whole story.
Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
Wow, call her out much. It's like, you're not allowed to run away from this. That's what she was about to do. She was about to just fucking try and get out of there.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left me with some dignity?
Wow, look at that! She's like a deflated balloon now.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events.
Please do, Ray Chase.
The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lilianne was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lilianne. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lilianne, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linny, He was in the underground structures within the Opera House, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused, is in fact innocent. While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately...
fair enough. They're still using water to teleport people, but...
This case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Let's not celebrate just yet.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did that get there? If someone was trying to set him up, how'd that get there? We've just proven he was entirely innocent.
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not a discovery, but false evidence that you dared to bring before this court?
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yes? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best opportunity to do so.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and seek the protection of the guards.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration. We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent mora off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about. The...
What? He turned into water.
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness. I shouldn't have expected any less of them.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
Alright, nothing's found in the scene apart from the liquid left behind after Vaughn dissolved. This is all over again.
So, we're just going back now?
The problem seems to have been solved for now. We're not needed here anymore.
That's true, but...
We need to find out who this boss is.
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Linny...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me. But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui.
I didn't wish to see anyone be falsely accused. I just wanted to be sure we're square.
I guess. But regardless, I'd like the opportunity to set things straight. I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Linny this entire time. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That's all. That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached the
Father is
too.
Arlesheno. You know what I was saying earlier, where she's usually referred to in male terms? That's literally what they're talking about. They're literally talking about Arlesheno.
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, would you mind hearing a story? It's about my past. Back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering the streets. To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. It took me several days to figure out how he pulled off his amazing tricks. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform magic tricks there. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister to remain a street rat together with me forever. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first, too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful days. But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent for magic tricks. He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the streets at any rate.
It took a while for me to realize just how dark his heart really was. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as me.
Oh, they're not going to go the way I think they're going. We've had... Fontaine has brought up women getting taken a few times, and they would have been teenagers at most at the time, so that would have been a very... Is this aristocrat about to go up to the highest possible point of the shit list of Genshin characters? Let's find out.
I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. I went to that noble's bedroom and asked him about her whereabouts. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be
Jesus
able to
fucking
perform
Christ.
magic regardless of who your assistant is, yes?
Oh no. So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law.
So what happened after
I
that?
managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person, and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over the walls, avoided the guards, and made my way in, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood, and the knave standing there in the darkness.
Sheno heard what was going on, realized some girl had been basically kidnapped and was just going to be basically sold around by a bunch of weird men, and decided to step in and fucking kill them all. Holy shit. Interesting.
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
So there is a good side to Arthur Sheno in that sense. She really is what I was saying before, where she's from a very bad group of people, but does have a good side. She cares about the kids that she tries to look after.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans.
Jesus Christ.
Father, the knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me an offer. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted here.
Yeah, no one's gonna get on the wrong side of Arthur Sheno.
I was hesitant to trust her. I had just been betrayed by nobles, but she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
You could just say murder. You could just say she killed him.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
That's all in the past, though. The knave's after the Gnosis, isn't she?
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis's power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
Oh. That means more than it seems. For her to go straight to the Tsaritsa, she's not working with the other Harbingers. It's like ignoring your government to take it straight to a king kind of attitude. That's kind of what she did. She's completely disconnected herself in a sense from the Harbingers and gone straight to the Tsaritsa. And now from it, she's allowed to work independently to try and stop, you know, this prophecy of the whole nation getting, like, drowned out by the water.
So, she believes in that prophecy too?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis. Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophecy. All of us house members here, Lady Arlecchino herself included...
That's how you pronounce it, Arlecchino. I've been saying Arlecchino because there's a CH. That's how you pronounce it, Arlecchino. I suppose it's Italian, so I don't know why I assumed that a CH would be pronounced the way I assumed it would be pronounced. Because most of the Harbingers, their names comes from Della Derart, or something like that, like Delart or something like that. And so they're all like Italian in origin.
To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family, is our homeland.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like sealing a gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
I still can't completely trust you.
It's alright. I understand. The only thing I can do is relate all this to you. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe what I'm doing is right. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as plain Linny.
I understand.
Bye, Linny!
A twist of great magic. Leave the opera house. Oh, Navia. I bet she's going to recruit us into her little, like, Rosie
With the disappearing
gang.
act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it?
Uh-oh, you're having trouble again,
I
Shaylee.
feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Don't you think so, too?
I'm sorry, Navia.
What's wrong, my dear partner?
I was only really trying to defend Linny. I wasn't necessarily looking into several disappearance cases.
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold for decades now?
Seriously. Uh-oh. No.
Given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs for the Hydro Archon's people to follow now, right?
Ah. I see.
You never have to give time or respect to giant CEOs. CEOs are the only job in the entire industry that you could replace with AI. Don't give them the time of day. CEOs are the equivalent of like in the kids' classroom where they have to group up and one kid decides they're going to be team leader just so they'll do fucking nothing. Then when you play it, fair enough.
Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Aw, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring
Oh,
forth,
Navia's absolutely
and a
going to hire
reflection
us
in the
in.
murk to become
And
clearer.
Act 2 is going to be working with Navia and her little like secret society to try and figure out what's going on with the disappearances. Calling it now.
Sorry about that. I'm a bit
I believe
prone to
Act 2
nostalgia.
is in this update, so we will be doing it in some point in these series of streams.
Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners?
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal? Well, guess you really did treat us as partners, huh?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no regrets later. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
Yep, she's gonna say, hey, come do it for a meal, we can have a chat, and during that time, I can work tirelessly to convince you to join my little gang. Also, at nighttime. Also, no, it's not nighttime, that's turning the morning, it's just at 6 AM. That's why all the lights turned off and the lighting changed. That's the thing, it's a weird thing with Genshin. The lighting engine when you're outside is nigh on perfect with how it reacts to everything. The lighting engine when you're inside, it's like it's broken up into blocks. And when you cross into the next block, the lighting just sharp changes. So it's like we've just hit 6 AM. That's why I know we've just hit 6 AM, because all the lights just turned off. and you know, the light come through the windows. Let's go have that meal then.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navi is treating, count Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the Court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it just in time for dinner.
All right then, let's have our farewell meal.
Yeah, Act 2 is going to be she's going to convince us to join her little gang. What's this? Retained from your adventures into the fountain. I didn't get to read all of that. Game. It says to chuck something into the fountain. Oh, this fountain. I was still reading and the game just continued. I'm assuming it's Hydro Sigils. It's the equivalent of... Yes, it is. It's the equivalent of the tree in Sumeru and... Well, I guess the tree in Inazuma, now that I think about it. I was like, the tree... oh, wait, they're both trees. Internet, is it being a bit stuttery? Please fix yourself. We managed to do like 7 hours yesterday. It'd be nice if you could continue. Oh, you can tell I've been exploring a bit because we've got a lot of levels here. Right, not too many, but enough. Does it go up to level 50? My internet box is still flickering, so that's why I'm kind of slowing down for a second. I want to wait until I know it's sorted itself, just in case something goes. Oh, right, I forgot about this. I can't remember if I mentioned it in a previous stream. They added this tour guide thing where you get rewards for just advancing through the story in the background now. So if I'm doing that quest, we got extra rewards, and maybe Act 2 will get that. And you know, there's things here that the game will give us extra rewards for if we keep on top of. Oh, it's still flickering. It's making me really paranoid. I'm just looking at it, I'm like, no, it needs to be a straight white. Why is it flickering? What I mean is my internet box, I have it wired in, that I have my, like, streams wired into. When it's got a light under it that tells you, like, oh, it's power and connection. There's, like, 4 stages. If it's just flat red, there's no connection. If it's flashing red, it means it's losing connection. If it's flashing white, it means it's trying to, like, re-establish. And if it's just bright white, it means it's fine. It's currently flashing white. So it's like it's trying to re-establish connection. I'm like, well, we're still streaming, so it's still connected. So if it could stop flashing, that'd be nice. Because it makes me paranoid.